Okay, so going over the card structure is really important because there are some ways that make it easier for the form and structure, which is the third criterion point, to be clearer for the reader. So this is what I like. What we're looking for is an arc in the story and for your persuasive or rhetorical strategies to match that arc. So in the text, blank, Hamlet, Macbeth, whichever text we're engaging with, the text creator, Shakespeare, Beyonce, whoever it is, develops the idea of directly address the prompt, directly say what idea you are coming up with in relation to the language of the prompt. The text creator achieves this effect, concept, or idea, whatever you said in relation to the prompt, through and then explicitly state what each body paragraph should be. It should be extremely clear to me what each body paragraph will be after the introduction. Okay? Then, when you go into the body paragraphs, you want to actually follow this structure of initially this happens. However, because of this happening, this now happens, consequently or finally, and here's my conclusion. So the question you're asking yourself in the initially paragraph is, what is the character like at the beginning of the text, right? In order to see the change that they ultimately make, I need to see what they were like at the beginning of the text. Then you give your evidence and analysis of that evidence and link it to the next paragraph. Say how what I've just talked about is going to relate to this next paragraph. Don't just go off and start talking about something completely random or completely new. Tell me how it's going to link into the next paragraph. However, because of some central conflict that has happened, the character has had to create a shift in their perspective or their ideology. I want to see how characters change. If a character doesn't change, you can't write about it. Okay? So what happens to the character that has needed to create a shift in their ideology, their perspective? We're looking for dynamic characters, not static. Dynamic characters change over time. Then give evidence and analyze that evidence, link it to the next paragraph. And then paragraph 3/4, if you wanted to do a fourth, is consequently, because of that thing that happened in however, because of that conflict, this is how the character has changed, or despite it in that, has created a change in their life, shifted their perspective, become new in some way. Okay? Evidence of that change, analysis of that change, especially in relation to the prompt. Okay? And then link it to the next paragraph. Your conclusion restates the roadmap. You've taken me on X, Y, Z, I don't know, as a journey. And then you have to re-identify your thesis in relation to the initial prompt that we talked about in the beginning here. Here's my key takeaways. Ask yourself this in reviewing your essay. Have you consistently used the language of the prompt? If the prompt says, will always say things like convention or circumstance in relation to societal norms. Have you said those words? Okay, it is not cheating or it's not copyright or something. Use the actual language of the prompt. However obvious it may seem, what it does is signals to the reader that you, in fact, are responding to the prompt and not just writing some essay about your thoughts on the text. That's what the card is testing, is can you take a text you know so well that no matter what prompt is thrown at you, you're able to filter your thinking about the text and make it address the prompt directly. The other thing is, whenever you make a claim, make sure why you argue it's important. This quote is important because of your larger thesis, because it shows how this character has changed, okay? Not just this quote exemplifies Hamlet's or Beyonce's or Macbeth's change through the text. Why? Because of it shows that they are now happy. It shows that they are now at peace. It shows that they are now no longer in conflict with this other character. Always ask yourself why. When a marker is going through your entire essay, they're always saying, great point. Why is that important? The other thing that you can fall into is summarizing the text too much. I've read it, and you can assume that your marker has read it, watched it, or listened to it too. And so when you're giving essentially a summary, it can't be useful. The problem is you're showing how a character has changed, and so a couple sentences about what's going on in the text is fine, but otherwise you should be moving into analysis in relation to the prompt. Finally, cards need to show a progression of the story. Show how a character and idea has changed over time, over the time in the text. Okay? You're creating a persuasive or rhetorical arc that matches the narrative arc. So initially, however, consequently, finally, follows this larger arc, right, of what's going on in the story. Come back to this consistently. I always say writing is rewriting. Write something, get your ideas out, and then look back to it and say, does it follow a persuasive arc that's been outlined in this format? And this amplifies the form and structure component of the rubric, which is important to organization, which is the criteria, right?